Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I've done a little bit more sewing for my son who is 3. He'll be 4 in August. I'm filming this in June. I don't know when I'm posting this, so it might already be 4 to be honest. But this is like a little summer set and it is trying to use up like scraps of fabric that I have. So I had this like cotton linen blend that I made some trousers for myself out of. So I've made it in a little short set. The fabric is quite creased. I did not iron it before I started cutting out the pieces, which may have impacted the shape of the finished garment. We'll never know. But there, they just have like an elasticated waist, and then they're just little shorts, no pockets or anything, just very simple. They do look like they would be very high-waisted. I haven't as of yet tried them on him, but yeah, I don't know what it is about kids' clothes ended up coming up high-waisted. And then this is like a little matching top. Again, these are both in woven fabrics. So again, I used that green cotton linen for the back, but I didn't have enough to do both. So I decided to do the front in this kind of teal coloured double gauze. And it does have a like button here to open the neck. So it just goes on over the top, and that's the only fastening. And then it also has kind of a split hem at the bottom. So it is the New Look 6398 and it has incredibly contemporary styling. Look at that, that's how kids would wear it today, absolutely. So the options with this pattern, you do get quite a few options. So you get a top, which is the one I've shown, and then you get shorts, and then also the trouser version of those shorts, a skirt, and then a jacket, and then like a waistcoat option, which I think is probably just the jacket without the sleeves. So all 3 of the tops have like that split hem feature, and then the jacket and the waistcoat I think are lined and have pockets. The trousers are just an extension of the shorts, and the skirt is just one with an elasticated waist. So it's all for woven fabrics. It recommends gingham, cottons, batiks, chambray, blends, blah blah blah. So I did the shorts first, and a very simple pattern. It's just 2 pieces, front and back. No, that's a lie. It's 2 pieces left and right. I'm just looking at where the seam is. Yeah, 2 pieces left and right. No, there is a front and back. It's only 2 pieces, front and back, but then you cut them out twice so that you have a left and a right leg. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I could not remember or fathom how this is made. But it doesn't have a separate waistband, is kind of the point that I was making. And the waistband is just, you fold over the top to create a channel and then you insert the elastic through. Pretty simple and easy way of doing it. I've seen more complicated ways that I don't really care for. I then stitch down the at the seams through the elastic to just hold it in place, but it still has plenty of stretch. I finished the seams inside with just my pinking shears again, just for simplicity. They probably will fray, but I'm not that bothered because he probably won't wear these for very long before he grows out of them, or they just become seasonally not appropriate given how cold it is at the moment. It's hard to believe that he'll ever get much wear out of them this year, to be honest. The hem is just like a little turned up hem, and I just rolled it over twice, again to kind of prevent that fraying problem. The pattern does tell you to kind of finish it by edge sewing it, but that just seemed more awkward. But that's it, like it's a very simple construction. The pattern was fairly easy to follow. The pattern is a paper pattern, which I haven't used paper one in a while. I do kind of like having paper instructions, or just like physical copy of the instructions, but it is more fiddly to have to trace out the pattern. I do prefer that it's easier just to print it out, although I do feel like you waste more paper that way. Pros and cons, but with the shorts, because there was only 2 pattern pieces, it wasn't that difficult to print them out. And then you get your paper pattern that has like some basic information, a bit of a guide as to like which pieces to cut out, and then it has the instructions. And the short instructions wherever they've gone. They're on this page. And are really simple. And it does do this thing where when it comes to hemming, when you're reading the shorts instructions, it just says, step 2, make as skirt. Steps 2 and 3. So then what you're supposed to do is then go on to the skirt instructions and follow steps 2 and 3 for the skirt instructions, because the hem of the skirt and the hem of the shorts legs is the same. And it does that a few times in the pattern, obviously to save space, because it's got several different garments that it's got to try and fit on just a couple of pages. So that made sense to me, and that was still quite easy and straightforward to follow until I came to making the top. So the top has a few more pieces, so 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. I got a bit confused because on the little drawing it has number 3. So I cut out number 3 as well, but that was wrong. I think that was just a misprint. So it isn't, so I ended up with like extra bits of interfacing that really confused me. You have the front, which is a, which you cut on the fold, so it's like half of the front and then you cut the fabric on the fold. The back is like the entire of the back, because one side of the back is higher than the other to accommodate the fastening. And then you have the sleeves, which you cut out twice, and then you also have the facing for around the neckline, and then you also cut that out in interfacing. So you have a back and front for those, and you cut it out in interfacing and in the fabric as well. Like I said, I found the pattern instructions a little bit confusing, but really I think I just made mistakes myself with cutting these out, and I realised that I had forgotten to cut out one of the pieces of interfacing and one of the facings. And I think that was just my fault missing it, so I can't blame the pattern for that. So constructing the pattern is fairly simple. Or fairly straightforward, so you can't remember the order that you do it in now. It made sense up until a point. I think that's kind of the point that I'm making. Here we go. I managed to rip this one, so that really helped. So you stay stitch around the neckline, and then you attach the right shoulder seam together to the front and back at the right shoulder seam. I somehow managed to do that at the left shoulder seam, which is why on mine it opens on this side when it should open on the other side. I did worry that that would mean it wouldn't really work, because like I said, the back is not symmetrical and one side is higher, but somehow I managed to make it work. So I must have gone wrong twice, and that like cancelled it out. So it was fine, but it did confuse me a bit. Then you sort out the facing by adding the interfacing, and then you attach that around the neck. Fine. Then it gives you a bunch of instructions. Some of these instructions are pretty like scant. So it says trim corners, lay a seam, clip curves, turn facing to inside, press. None of those things are really pictured, and I didn't fully know what it was talking about. But then it tells you to top stitch, so I figured out what that meant. Then you sew up the side seams, fine, and then you move on to the sleeve, and this is where I think the pattern is just not printed properly, because for the sleeves it gives you this picture of the sleeve, and the picture is like the finished sleeve, which has obviously been sewn up like the side of the sleeve to make it into an actual cylinder shape, and then it's telling you how to hem it. But it just says to press up the hem, baste and edge finish the raw hem, and then stitch in place. And it doesn't actually tell you to sew the like side of the arm together. So I did that because it's in the picture and it wasn't in any of the other steps, so I think that was right. But I think clearly they just missed that in a step somewhere. Then it moves on to step 4, armhole, make as jacket step 4. So you go onto the jacket instructions, and that is just telling you how to insert the sleeve into the armhole. That's fine. Then you move on to step 5, hem, and the hem is a split hem, so that's a little bit trickier. I could probably have done with a little bit more instruction for the hem, but I figured it out, and that's fine. It looks fine. It's not the neatest ever, but it's fine. From the outside, it looks fairly neat, and you can't see too much of the like scruffiness inside. It's fine. But then it finishes Like, that's all the instructions. And I don't know if you remember, but we have this, like, fastening to do. So there's buttons that should go on the collar that should be actual buttons. And for the jacket and the waistcoat, I believe it does give you those button instructions. So part of me thinks that they should just be a step saying go to step buttons in the jacket section. I did kind of briefly look at the jacket instruction. So it does say step 7, buttonholes, and then you're supposed to add buttons and buttonholes. It doesn't give you a ton of information of how to do buttonholes, but they never really do. But yeah, I just think that that was a step that was missing from the instructions, which is confusing when that happens. So I could have gone back and so I could have used the instructions from the jacket because they were in there, and I think that they're the same. I think. I'm not even sure that they are though, because the jacket and the waistcoat have buttons that go down the centre, whereas this top has buttons on the collar. But buttonholes and buttons are the same no matter where you place them, I would assume. But I decided it would be so much easier to just add a like press stud popper thing, and I just put one on. I don't think we need multiple ones. You only need it to be able to open up to let his head in. But to have it just open all the time, like you do kind of need it to fasten, otherwise it's just going to be a bit weird. So I did that because I already had some in my little tin, and the black button, I thought it looks quite nice, kind of smart. If you can have a smart toddler outfit. So yeah, the pattern is pretty simple and straightforward, and you do get like multiple options. So you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 garments to pick from, and the size range is from age 2 to age 7. Yeah, 2 to 7. So it's pretty good. It's just really out of date, and obviously I don't know how many kids wear waistcoats now, but yeah, I do think that there's like some misprints in the pattern, and given that it is presumably a few decades old, it seems like it just say 2011. Gosh. All right. I feel like they could have maybe checked it and added in that step for the buttons and saved me time trying to find it. But I am really pleased with the finished product because I think it does look really cute. I also have a top in this fabric, and I have trousers in the shorts fabric, so we could actually wear them and match. Which I think will be super cute. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, give me a like and a subscribe, and I will see you next time.